Hello, everyone. Welcome to Day 5 of LRI Engineering's Emergency Preparedness Week training series. In this video, we are going to look at disaster myths. Disaster planning is only as good as the assumptions on which it is based. Unfortunately, this planning is often based on a set of conventional beliefs that has been shown to be inaccurate or untrue when subjected to empirical assessment. We will identify a few of the more common misconceptions about disasters and show how they may lead to ineffective responses. The first myth we look at is social breakdown. Because of the frequency, vividness, and potential significance of disasters, a number of widespread stereotypes have developed about human behavior. The popular image of disasters has often centered around the theme of social chaos. This image suggests that individuals display irrational behavior and that individuals lose their concern for others and adopt an every man for themselves mentality and act irrationally in terms of their own self-interest. As a result of the disaster experience, it is suggested that people who become hostile and take aggressive action towards others. Another facet of the image suggests that victims who are often portrayed by the media are hysterical and helpless, and gradually shed the thin veneer of civilization and exploit others for personal gain. In contrast, researchers have found that in the immediate aftermath of disasters, community resilience and unity, strengthening of social ties, heightened initiative, and pro-social behavior more often prevail. During disasters, the survivors themselves are the first responders because they were already there when the disaster happened. The decisions survivors make save their own lives and the lives of people around them. They begin to organize themselves into groups, identify the resources they have, and use those resources to help others. In short, when things are at their worst, disaster-stricken communities tend to rise to the occasion. It is well documented that natural and man-made disasters are followed by increases in altruistic behavior and social solidarity. The next myth is panic. The issue of panic in disasters is frequently clouded by a lack of understanding of what the term means. The word is often very loosely and incorrectly used to describe virtually any type of fear, flight, or uncoordinated activity. Survivors of disasters have characterized their behavior and that of others as panic when what they really experience or observe is rational behavior based on fear. It is appropriate to experience fear in a crisis, and fleeing from a disaster is often the most rational course of action. Panic, on the other hand, involves irrational, groundless, or hysterical flight that is carried out with complete disregard for others. Most people evacuating in a disaster assist others to get away. When panic does occur, it usually involves few people, is short-lived, and is not contagious. In most cases, victims in disasters assist each other and use their heightened senses sparked by increase in adrenaline to take effective action. Our next myth is international aid. In most cases, disaster-related needs are met by national and local governmental agencies. In terms of medical assistance, only medical personnel with specific skills that are unavailable in the affected area may be needed. International populations are incredibly generous and often offer assistance in the form of food, clothing, and monetary aid. Unfortunately, a large portion of donations in many disasters are inappropriate to the needs of the incident and are not based on a systematic needs assessment. Examples include antibiotics for diseases not commonly found in the area impacted by the disaster, and inappropriate clothing items such as sending winter apparel to a tropical country. Usually, the needs of a disaster are very specific, and donations not directed at those particular needs only serve to create more work for an already distraught community, which must now sort, label, and even dispose of large amounts of goods. The next myth we look at is looting. Another common belief is that disasters are usually accompanied by increases in antisocial activity such as looting, price gouging, traffic violations, and violence. Even when looting is not actually observed, that fact is often attributed to the extraordinary security measures that have been taken, rather than the fact that such behavior is inherently uncommon. Sometimes, what is thought to be looting by the media may actually be the salvage of disaster victims' property by friends or relatives unknown to those observing this activity. The media may discover one isolated incident and report it, thus influencing people to believe that this act is common. Except in civil disorders and riots, increased criminal activity is uncommon in most disasters. Generally, the amount of donated goods far exceeds that which could be looted in disasters. When looting does occur, it is usually carried out by outsiders rather than members of the impacted community. The final myth we look at is the random factor. A common misconception is that disasters tend to strike human populations at random. On the contrary, disasters typically strike more vulnerable groups the hardest, such as those on low or fixed income, and especially women, children, the elderly, and people who suffer from disability, who tend to reside in more exposed locations and have fewer resources. Marginalized populations with increased social vulnerability generally suffer disproportionately after disasters. Social vulnerability refers to the inability of people, organizations, and societies to withstand adverse impacts from multiple stressors to which they are exposed. Disasters do not discriminate, but they affect societies that do. Every person affected by natural, technological, or human-induced disasters will experience it differently depending on the resources and opportunities they have access to. Disasters reveal our pretenses of stability, bearing the inequalities and injustices of our societies. They test the strength of our preparedness and mitigation against a disaster, which includes, but not limited to, the quality of infrastructure, the resilience of our power, sanitation, telecommunications, medical, and transportation systems. Effective hazard mitigation and emergency response must begin with an understanding of the complex ways in which social, economic, and political organizations of a society create substantial differences in the vulnerability of those who are meant to protect. This online training has been produced and presented by LRI Engineering Incorporated. LRI is a Canadian professional engineering firm specializing in emergency planning, fire protection engineering, building and fire code consulting, and accessibility consulting services. For more information about LRI and how we can help you, please visit our website, follow us on social media, or call us today. Disasters affect us in different ways, but we must be proactive in the development of strategies to reduce risk and build community resilience. Thank you for watching. We hope you will be encouraged to break barriers and build capacity in others. Stay safe and take care.